With actual football still months away, I decided I'd change things up and talk about some fake football. At some point this summer, EA Sports is going to begin releasing player ratings for the upcoming Madden 22 NFL football. With that in mind, I thought I'd try my hand at projecting the player ratings for the Cardinals' incoming group of rookies. Now, my goal in all of this was to try to project Madden's ratings for the Cardinals' incoming rookies as accurately as possible. In order to do this, I took a lot of things into account. I looked at some of the information that's out there on the internet about how EA uses combine and pro day numbers to calculate certain attributes like speed and strength, etc. I also looked at the ratings that they assigned to rookies last year based on position and the round in which they were drafted. So whenever possible, I try to look at the actual pro day numbers of the Cardinals rookies and compare them to other rookies who were drafted at their position at or near the same round in which they were drafted. For the players that did have pro day numbers to work with, I took one final step in the analysis. I actually went into Madden, used some of the players I've used as comps in previous videos as templates, and actually adjusted the ratings based on the numbers that I have for the incoming Cardinals players. I also made some adjustments to other skills such as man coverage for cornerbacks, for example, in order to bring those ratings more in line with what you typically see in a rookie. And this served as sort of the final check in my ratings for these players. I was able to take this last step with every player except for James Wiggins and Michael Manet, as they had very little to work with in terms of pro day numbers. Now, before we get into the ratings, if you're a Cardinals fan, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. I post new Cardinals related content every week, and I think you'll enjoy my videos. So without further ado, let's look at the ratings. First up is center Michael Manet. The Cardinals selected Manet in the 7th round, but unfortunately the only pro day number we had to work with were bench press reps. So my projected rating for Manet is primarily based on comparisons with other rookies who were drafted at his position in or around the 7th round. So based on the number I did have to work with, I gave him a strength rating of 80 and an overall rating of 59. It's not an impressive rating, but it's what you typically see from interior offensive linemen late in the draft in Madden. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if his rating was in the low 60s, but I wouldn't expect it to be anywhere above 64 or 65 at the highest. Next, we have safety James Wiggins. The Cardinals also selected Wiggins in the 7th round, and like Manet, he also didn't have a full set of pro day numbers, though he did have a 40-yard dash, a vertical jump, and bench press reps to work with. These numbers, particularly the 40 time, helped me to compare him more favorably against some of the other safeties who were typically drafted in around the 6th or 7th round. In fact, his speed rating of 91 is one of the reasons I gave him an overall grade of 66, while many safeties drafted in the 7th round had grades around 63 or 64. He also had a strength rating of 76 and a jump rating of 90. I wouldn't be surprised if his Madden rating was as low as 64 or as high as 68, but anything outside of that range would come as a surprise to me. Next up is cornerback Tay Gowan. The Cardinals selected Gowan in the 6th round, though many projected him to go earlier in the draft. And personally, I think Gowan is going to exceed what Madden and a lot of people expect of him. But based on the way that Madden does their ratings, I projected that they're going to assign him a rating of 67 overall. I have his speed and acceleration both at 91, his agility at 86, his change of direction at 87, his strength at 60, and his jump at 87. I could see EA assigning a grade as low as 62 or 63 and as high as 70 or 71, but I think it's going to probably be somewhere right around 67. Next up is edge rusher Victor Dimukeje. Like Gowan, Dimukeje was selected in the 6th round. He was a productive pass rusher in his time at Duke, but he does have limited physical traits at the next level. And overall, I'm projecting a grade of 66. His movement ratings of speed, acceleration, agility, and change of direction are part of the reason he doesn't rate higher. He is fairly strong for the position and has a high jump rating of 83 and 85 respectively, but overall, he's a player who's going to have to win with will and a high motor like Marcus Golden. I think the range for his overall is as low as about 63 and as high as about 68. The next player we're going to look at is cornerback Marco Wilson. The Cardinals traded up into the 4th round to select Wilson because of his freakish physical traits. His pro day numbers were all around impressive, and the combination of these elite physical traits, but the fact that he was selected in the 4th round made it difficult to project Wilson's overall grade. In the end, I gave him an overall grade of 69, but his ratings in speed, acceleration, agility, and change of direction were all 90 or higher, and his strength and jump ratings were outstanding for a quarterback. But the biggest knock on Wilson does have to do with his decision making and costly penalties. So I rated him lower in things like awareness and play recognition, as well as things like man and zone coverage. In terms of the low end, I'd be surprised if his rating was any lower than 67, especially when you consider his elite physical traits. And because of those same physical traits, I could see his overall as high as 72 or 73. But based on the fact that he was taken in the 4th round, I think EA is probably going to rate him somewhere right around 69. The next player we're going to look at also has elite physical traits, and that's wide receiver Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore is probably the most exciting player in the Cardinals draft class, and I've already done 2 videos that talk about what type of high-end traits he possesses. So his high ratings in things like speed, acceleration, agility, change of direction should come as no surprise. But like Wilson, projecting his overall was difficult because of these traits and his draft position. Most receivers selected in the 2nd round have ratings somewhere between 70 and 72. In the end, I settled on an overall grade of 73. Now, based on his physical traits like his 97 speed, 95 acceleration, 93 agility, 94 change of direction, as well as his outstanding strength rating and impressive jumping rating of 96, I feel like his physical traits merit a higher grade, somewhere in the area of 76 or 77. But based on how EA tends to approach these things, I had to downgrade that to 73. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up rating him more like 72 or 71. But overall, I felt like 73 was probably as high as EA was going to go with Rondale Moore. And finally, last but not least, we get to the Cardinals' 1st round pick linebacker Zaven Collins. Collins' projection was a little bit tricky because I couldn't find a score for the 3-cone drill. But between what I had to work with and comps with other 1st round linebackers, I projected a grade of 74 overall. His rating in speed was 85, acceleration was 86, agility 81, change of direction 74, his strength rating was 76, and his jump rating was 85. Now, because I don't have the 3-cone to go by, I could see EA rating some of these a little bit differently. But overall, I think this is probably where he's going to land. In terms of the range of his overall rating, I could see it going as low as 71 or 72, or maybe as high as 75 or 76. But I'd have a hard time seeing his rating outside of that range. So what kind of ratings do you think the Cardinals rookies are going to get in Madden 22? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Cardinal Rule.